But first, I want to talk about Illinois football because they have landed a significant commitment in the class of 2024 because it's the quarterback in the class of 2024. Trey Petty, 3-star prospect out of Starkville, Mississippi. Illinois, yes, has landed 2 quarterbacks out of Starkville, Mississippi this offseason. Of course, Luke Altmaier, former 4-star quarterback out of Starkville, already here. Trey Petty was the backup to Altmaier when he was a freshman. Petty was a freshman, and now the last couple of years has been a star. Led Starkville to a state championship last year. Phenomenal stats, dual threat quarterback, almost threw for 3,000 yards, ran for 700 plus yards with over 40 plus touchdowns, both passing and throwing. So a dynamic dual threat talent, but quarterback, there's always urgency to landing a quarterback, whatever recruiting class it is, because there's only so many legit Power 5 quarterback prospects. And Petty is a legit Power 5 quarterback prospect. Had offers from Mississippi State, Georgia Tech, Indiana, Illinois, several Power 5 programs. But there's only so many. So there's just a rush to get quarterbacks and to get them committed. And that certainly is the case in this class so far. Only 5 of the top 30 quarterback prospects in the class of 2024 remain uncommitted. Just to compare that, 18 of the top 30 wide receiver prospects are uncommitted, and 22 of the top 30 offensive tackle prospects are uncommitted. So that just gives you an idea of how quickly this moves. And Illinois had a lot of urgency with Trey Petty. Their first target in this class, their first offer in this class was Danny O'Neill. They really pursued that. Barry Lunny really pursued that. Illinois was among his top options. He decides to commit to Deion Sanders in Colorado last month. Since then, Illinois offered 3 more quarterbacks. Tyler Cherry out of Indiana, Trevor Jackson out of Florida, dual threat guy, Cherry more of a pro style guy, Trey Petty, dual threat out of Starkville. And this was all after Barry Lunny had done a bunch of evaluations in person during the evaluation period. And he was picky. I mean, you compare to like Pittsburgh, who had offered basically every quarterback Illinois had in this class, but Pittsburgh has offered dozens of quarterbacks. Illinois had offered only 4. And in the last couple of weeks, they really focused on Trey Petty, both Barry Lunny and Brett Bielema, who got very involved in this recruitment. And Illinois showed so much urgency that they got Trey Petty on an official visit this month, April, an early official visit. They're allowed to take visits April of junior year. And this is the first time I've seen Illinois do that. So they wanted to lock him down. They got him on campus last weekend, and they closed the deal. Barry Lunny leading this recruitment, but Brett Bielema played a big role in this as well. I think that is very telling because, Brett Bielema does get very involved in recruiting. Illinois has a coach that can be a closer and do that, but he really got involved here with Trey Petty, really liked him as a prospect. He compared him to Russell Wilson, the best quarterback, of course, that he's ever recruited. Now, Petty's got a lot to prove before he gets to that, but just that dual threat nature of him, his leadership, his ability to win at a high level in high school, took a team that was an underdog going into the playoffs, a talented team in Starkville, but the highest level of Mississippi State football, led him on an improbable state championship run. So I'm sure Brett Bielema likes that about him as well. But Illinois gets their quarterback in the class, and it's a Power 5 prospect. And I think that's really important in recruiting, just in the cycle of recruiting, to get the quarterback on board, one that has a lot of Power 5, offers, and can help you recruit. And Trey Petty's got the personality and the desire to go help you recruit. That should help you get some other prospects on board, gives you somebody else, one of their peers who can help recruit. And I think that's why it is important to get some early commits, is because when you get them in the spring, those guys work on getting other guys. And that's really helped Illinois in the past couple of years, getting some guys on board early, whether it's Caden Fagan or JoJo Hayden or Hank Beatty and Clayton, whoever it is. Donovan Leary was important in that first recruiting class. Joey Okla was very involved. Getting some of those guys on board early to help sell to others. So it's not just the coaches, it's some of their peers. That makes a big impact. And I think a quarterback carries a lot of weight there. But Petty does represent what Barry Lunny is looking to add to his room. Like Cal Swanson last year, 2023 signee, you'd call him a sleeper. He's pretty highly rated for us by the end at 24/7 Sports. Phenomenal athlete. He's got some developing to do as a passer. But Trey Petty, great athlete, dual threat quarterback. Tony Peterson, when he was here as offense coordinator, was looking more towards those traditional pocket passers. Lunny's offered some traditional pocket passers. I would include Danny O'Neal's a little small, got some quickness to him, but more of a traditional pocket passer. Tyler Cherry, definitely a pocket passer. Trey Petty's a guy who can go unscripted. Trey Petty's a guy that can make a lot of plays with his feet, but he's got some strength to him, even though he's not the biggest, but he's 6'1", close to 190 pounds, has some power to him, but a lot of athleticism. He's got a good deep ball. I know in some of the camps he's participated at, maybe the accuracy can improve a little bit, but on tape, completion rate this past year at the high school level was pretty good. He's got some talent around him, but he's put up some big numbers. And I think that just shows that Lunny wants more, and maybe Bielema wants more of what Lunny had at UTSA, which was Frank Harris. In the 2 years under Lunny, Frank Harris threw for almost 5,000 yards with 39 touchdowns to just 12 interceptions. He ran for more than 1,000 yards in those 2 years combined with 15 touchdowns. They want somebody that can make plays with their feet, can go off script and make some plays with their legs. And I thought Tommy DeVito had a little bit of that, but the injury to his ankle certainly hurt him a little bit with that. But Petty can do that. So now you get into this system with Barry Lunny. I'm interested to see what he does with some of these guys, whether it's Swanson, whether it's Trey Petty. But Luke Altmaier is a good example of this as well, because while Petty's probably a better athlete, Altmaier's a good athlete. And part of what Barry Lunny really liked about Altmaier is his ability to make plays with his legs. I expect to see more of that out of Illinois coming up. So now your future quarterback room, I don't want to say this because the quarterback room never feels stable. It feels like it's always going to have turnover, right? Because it's quarterback. There's only one that can play. So guys are going to hit the transfer portal if they're buried on a depth chart. That's going to happen with Illinois, with one of these guys, maybe two of these guys coming up. But you feel like you have some stability in this room. Illinois has ridden that quarterback transfer carousel for a while here because they haven't recruited the best prep prospects at the position. And part of that is because you haven't been good. The other part is you haven't been good because your offensive coordinator keeps overturning, right? You've had a lot of coaching change. Illinois had 5 offensive coordinators over the last 7 years. So one guy's looking for one thing, one guy's looking for the other thing. Your offenses change, coaching changes, so guys transfer, or you're just not be able to land top prep prospects because you're not showing anything on the field. Maybe Illinois can start doing that because Lunny gets a second year, and now you can build off that and have him here for a while as an offense coordinator. Now, the transfer portal has been good for Illinois. I mean, Wes Lunt, A.J. Bush Jr., Brandon Peters, Tommy DeVito, those are the best quarterbacks Illinois has had since Nathan Schillhouse, right? So it's been good for them. They've been able to go upgrade there. But I do think there's some value in bringing prep quarterbacks in that you can develop and be within your system so they know what you want, and you don't have to reteach a veteran or take away some things you don't want him to play like that he might have played like at the previous stop. Might have some bad habits from a previous stop, right? Or at least habits that you don't want in your system. I think that's the benefit of this. And maybe you can get off that quarterback transfer carousel because you have Altmaier for potentially 3 years. You have Donovan Leary behind him potentially for 4 years. You have Cal Swanson for 4 or 5 years. Now you get Trey Petty coming in 2024. One of those guys won't be here long term, right? Maybe a couple of those guys aren't here long term. But because you have Altmaier for multiple years and now you're starting to get Lunny's guys in, this is the most stable the Illinois quarterback position has looked in a while. Of course, again, that can change right away, but it feels like you can build. Like you're not looking to patch things. You can build up this quarterback room and force a lot of competition. And Lunny's got what he wants. He's not going to find 2 quarterbacks every offseason that fit what he wants, or this constant change you might not have as much. Now, I'm not one of those guys that thinks the quarterback transfer portal is bad. Like, go get your guys, go upgrade if you have to. Like, if Altmaier is gone after 2 years, goes to the NFL or whatever it is, and you feel like one of these guys is not ready or good enough, then you go to the transfer portal and you go upgrade. And that's the great part about it. But it feels like now Lunny can build something in the quarterback room. It feels like it's been patching up for a while, with all these transfers. And now maybe you get some time to season these guys, develop them, and get what you want in this program. And it'll be interesting to see how it evolves and what Lonnie is able to develop at that position. But it's going to get hot and heavy now here in the class of 2024. You got official visit season coming up. So I know some people are understandably angsty about the class with only 3 commitments. You're 12th in the Big Ten, 61 in the country. Don't have a prospect in the top 800. But man, I think they've set themselves up well. And that's the point, is to set yourself up well, get a foundation in the class. I think they can add to the class, whether that's a Carlos Orr out of Tennessee, wide receiver, defensive lineman Demetrius John, Ohio. I have crystal balls in for those guys. I think Illinois is sitting well with them. And then you get official visit season. You really look to take that class to the next level. And that's where you do most of your building in the class. So can they land some of these top in-state prospects, whether it's Luke Williams, Tyshawn Griffin, Darian Dupree, Austin Alexander, Eddie Turk? Can you land some of those guys in June? That'll be the important part. They're going to land some Florida defensive backs. I'm pretty confident about that. It's about who they land, which guys they land, and can they make a splash in June. But they will have, by the end of July, I feel, a really good foundation of most of this class filled. It's just about who do they land, how big a recruitments they land, and then you head into the fall. But I'm not concerned about where they stand in this class, because they have so many guys set up for official visits. They have a couple guys committed already. I think they'll have more before June starts. So I think Illinois is sitting in a pretty solid spot as they build this thing. Of course, the more you get into this build, the more 4 stars you want to land. And Illinois is shooting its shot for those guys, right? Luke Williams, Naperville North, would be a massive get as a safety. If you can get Marquise Lightfoot away from Alabama and Ohio State, of course, that'd be a massive get. But I do like the way they approach recruiting, and I do think the class 2024 is going to be another solid class, and a class that they can potentially land a few 4 stars as well. So Trey Petty, nice addition. I think it really adds some juice to this class moving forward for Illinois.